YouTube. We'll wait for another minute. Okay, it is 7 Eastern, and thank you everyone for joining in today's session. Today's class will be overseen and delivered by His Grace Bhakti Vinod Prabhuji. So, with that, Bhakti Vinod Prabhuji, I will hand it over to you to kick us start.
So let's start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakam Nam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Sha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशितारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you, devotees, for joining. So I think we will start with the Narayan group doing the presentation, Prabhu, Rupa Raghunath Prabhu.
It's the Vasudev Prabhu, Vasudev group.
Okay, okay, Vasudev group. Yes.
Yeah, we can see your screen, Nandu Prabhu, but we cannot hear you. Okay, we still can't hear you, Prabhu.
I'm sorry. Now it should be okay.
Yeah, we can see you and hear you. Go ahead.
Awesome. You see my PowerPoint presentation now?
Yes, most confidential knowledge.
Yes. Okay. So Hare Krishna, everyone. So today we will be discussing about the verses 1 to 3 of chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge. This is shared by 3 speakers from the Vasudeva group. Before we discuss the verses 1 to 3 of chapter 9, it's important to know why does Krishna call this most confidential knowledge. After all, he has taught Arjuna the first 8 chapters. If we look at the progression of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna reveals spiritual knowledge step by step. In the early chapters, especially chapter 2, he explains the difference between the eternal soul and the temporary body. This is confidential because it is beyond ordinary material understanding. In chapter 3 to 6, Krishna explains Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga, showing how one can gradually become purified. Then chapter 7 to 8 introduce deeper understanding. Krishna reveals his own divine nature, his energies, and how one can attain him. This is more confidential because it concerns the Supreme Lord himself. Now in chapter 9, Krishna goes further. He reveals not only who he is and how anyone can develop direct loving relationship with him through pure devotion service. That is why chapter 9 begins the very heart of Bhagavad Gita. The middle six chapters are the essence of Gita because they directly teach bhakti, and chapter 9 represents the knowledge of Shuddha Bhakti or Ananya Bhakti as the most confidential knowledge. Akhila Mataji?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Panchang Pranams. So, if it is most confidential, why is it available to everyone? This raises another interesting question. Today, we can buy a Bhagavad Gita almost anywhere. We can download it on our phones. Thousands of lectures are freely available online. So if this knowledge is publicly available, how can Krishna still call it confidential? The answer is that confidentiality in Bhagavad Gita does not mean secrecy, rather, it refers to realization. Think of it this way. A chemistry textbook is available in every university library and even outside bookstores, but only someone who studies it carefully under proper guidance understands it deeply. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita is open to everyone, but its deepest meaning is revealed only to one who approaches Krishna with faith, humility, and devotion. Krishna himself hinted this earlier in chapter 4 when he explained that this ancient yoga was spoken to Arjuna because Arjuna was both his devotee and his friend. Hence, the qualification is devotion and not scholarship. Krishna consciousness is a descending process. The knowledge and realization is showered as a causeless mercy by the Lord and his devotees as a result of our sincere desire to understand Krishna, to read Gita and other scriptures, and through consistent practice of devotional service under a bona fide spiritual master. In other words, not just the book should be open, but the heart must also be open. That is why millions may read Bhagavad Gita, yet relatively few understand Krishna's ultimate invitation to simply love and serve him. You're on mute.
Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna devotees. So, what is the essence of this chapter? Krishna now reveals the highest spiritual truth. The ultimate goal is not simply liberation, it is not merely freedom from suffering, it is not only knowledge of the soul. The ultimate goal is loving devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chapter 9 repeatedly emphasizes several beautiful truths. Krishna is the source of everything. Although he creates and sustains the universe through his material energy, he remains completely untouched by it. He is equal to everyone, yet he has special affection for his devotees. Most importantly, Krishna makes devotion wonderfully simple. He accepts even a leaf, a flower, a fruit, a water, provided it is offered with love and devotion. This shows that Krishna is not interested in our wealth or status. He is interested in our heart and devotion. Perhaps that is why this chapter is called the most confidential knowledge. The greatest secret is not hidden because Krishna wishes to exclude people. It is hidden because pure love for Krishna is understood only when we are willing to surrender our hearts. As Srila Prabhupada often explains, Krishna consciousness is both the highest knowledge and the greatest happiness because it awakens our eternal relationship with Krishna.
So, in closing, as we begin to understand the chapter 9, let us keep one question in our minds. If Krishna is now revealing his most confidential knowledge, am I listening merely to gain information, or am I listening so that my relationship with him may deepen? This is the invitation Krishna extends to Arjuna and to each one of us. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Very nice, Prabhuji and Mataji's. Uh, like the closing remarks, also that it's an open invitation and all of us should take to it. Other couple of things that touched me was the link with the heart, like you were saying, we're in the heart of the section in Bhagavad Gita, and how we are supposed to be opening our hearts through this chapter. So I think you summarized the whole chapter very sweetly, and that's the sweetness of this chapter also. So thank you so much.
Thank
Bhakti
you.
Vinod Prabhu, any comments and remarks from your side?
Very well put together. The thing which touched me was it came from your heart,
Thank you.
right? It's not just saying a philosophy, but saying that you actually mean it. And that's what Bhakti Shastri is about. So you understand, you assimilate, and you actually believe. And when it touches your heart, it's not just information, as you were saying, it transforms you. And when your transformation is there, you can actually preach. So that came through. Thank you. It was wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so with this, we will move to the section 2 of our class, which is the Q&A. And I know without Bahari Prabhuji, Q&A is quite interesting, but at the same time, we must continue this. So, devotees, any questions on the previous chapters? Please feel free to raise your hand, and we can discuss. Yes, Akhila Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Panchang Pranams. So, I mean, I was just writing my open book essay, so I was studying for it. So, from chapter 3 about lust. So, I was reading that, the lust is in the Supreme in Lord, and when lust and wrath is used in Krishna's service, then it's convert. So it is transformed to love. So it is no more in the material platform. And the example of wrath being used, like Hanuman uses wrath to what to say, vanquish Ravana's kingdom and everything. So specifically in terms of lust, is there like an example where a lust of a devotee is used, like not to the wrath state, but to the lust state, which is used in service?
Sure. I can say a few things, but Bhaktivinoda Prabhuji, do you want to go first?
Go ahead, Prabhu, because when it's used in service of Krishna, lust becomes love.
Hmm.
Because what is the definition of lust? For me, it's anything which is not used in the service of Krishna. When we want that, that is lust. But when we utilize that same thing, we dovetail to Krishna, that's no longer lust. But again, I would love to hear from Raghunath Prabhu.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. You kind of covered it also. So, Mataji, very nice question. In chapter 15, I think we will study about um, the tree, which is um, in the material world, but it's the inverted image of the spiritual world. So all the qualities that exist in this material world that we see, like this anger, the lust, and all the things, ego, most importantly, that we see, Bahari Prabhuji explained that all those exist in the spiritual world also. There is no difference.
Hmm.
The difference is, like Prabhuji was saying, the intention and how we are dovetailing this, and all of them become spiritualized. And Prabhuji gives example of, for example, anger or lust and ego. Like all the devotees in the Goloka, they are envying each other so that they can serve Krishna better. All the gopas and the gopis, they're really, literally fighting with each other. So it's a very positive competition, and Krishna enjoys this. Then he gave the examples of lust, wherein uh, gopis, and I think that's really transcendental, an expression that I think with our conditioned mind, probably we cannot experience this. but the love of Radha Rani and the love of gopis, and I think we will study more about this once we get to the Bhakti Vaibhav and the Canto 10 session we talked about Ras Leela and all. So that is the highest form of love for Krishna, and that's really preserved for very based on the eligibility reserved for very very close eternal associates of Krishna, very very elevated. I think NOI talks about it in chapter 11 or 12, the Prema Bhakti. So again, the lust and the love. So that's a theoretical answer. In the canto, in the chapter 9 class lectures, Prabhuji explained the difference between the lust and the love. So anything, and this is in the today's context, anything that we do keeping the other person in mind, if I am sacrificing and then doing it according to the wish of the other person, that is love. But wherever there is a I and I think I'm doing it because I like it, that literally is lust. That's how he explained it in the material context. So that's that. And even the anger, like how the demons get killed, and the devotees gets angry. And even in today's time, we will study more this in again NOI and NOD. In today's time, if we hear the blasphemy of Krishna anywhere, right, a devotee is supposed to use this weapon of anger to do certain things, so that's where we use our anger also. So yeah, all the qualities, especially lust, and I took few examples also of the gopis and Radha Rani. So that's how it is, Mataji. It's an advanced topic. I think good to clarify further with Bahari Prabhuji.
I
Thank you
think
so
there is
much.
a comment from
Fantastic.
Ashutosh Prabhu, which is a very nice example. Bilwat Mangal Thakur, uh, he was lusty, but then when he changed because of his love for Krishna, like, he actually poked his eyes and he didn't want to see anything
Mm.
and he became blind. So that lust turned to love for Krishna.
Prabhuji, there is
Thank
also an example of Kubja in Mathura, the hunchback woman who initially invited Krishna to her house. Can that be considered an example of lust? Because later on she turned devotee and Krishna liberated her. This is in Mathura Leela when Krishna goes to Mathura.
I'm sure, Mataji, if the feelings in her were more of amoral, and that's where, and this example I particularly don't know, but you reminded me of the example of Sanatan Goswami, and how one of the ladies came to his hermitage to distract him, and she eventually became a devotee within a matter of 2 days. So yes, she came with the lusty feelings, and she transformed. Sanatan Goswami transformed this into love. I'm sure the Kubja pastime that you're referring to is probably similar.
Haridas Thakur Prabhu, Sana Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur, Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur. Yeah, Sanatan Goswami was this paras money that the guy has come in to steal. He also got transformed, but this lust was Haridas Thakur. Thank you. Amit Prabhu, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yeah, Dandat Pranam. So I have two questions, like as Krishna present bhakti as in a simplicity way, right? But why do still people make like the spirituality more complicated than what Krishna present it?
That's a very practical question, Prabhuji. And I think we kind of discussed this 2 classes back. It is the knowledge, and how our mind is covered, and we are overcomplicating it, like everything around us we do, right? Even in our engineering solutions, we over-engineer simplistic things, right? But Krishna has explained that easily, that there is a circuitous path. He talked about all the yogas, and then there is bhakti. And often Prabhuji takes an example of a donkey or an ass, right? The grass is right in front of him, but still he has to work whole day, at the behest of his master. And then the master will say, okay, here is the grass, you can eat. The grass was always available to him. So I think that's how we in today's time, we are over endeavoring, we are definitely over engineering, and we will talk a little bit more about this in Nectar of Instructions, like how a devotee is supposed to cultivate the qualities so that he or she can keep it simple. So it is primarily the lack of knowledge, Prabhu, that we are currently dealing with. But devotee association and hearing from the right sources actually really enlightens us, and that's where Krishna consciousness actually really is differentiated from a lot of other sampradayas and the practices, because we don't focus too much on rituals. We focus more on actions, practice, and simplicity. So that's my short answer, but happy to have Bhakti Vinod Prabhu please add something to this.
No, for me, it's you covered it all. For me, the thing is to keep it simple, devotee association. When we are in association of devotees, we understand it's a process. It takes time, but it's a very sweet process. Otherwise, people who are not having devotee association, or these people, like one of the questions in your, okay, I think today is the last day, but I'm not going to say. One of the questions in the module one was like, why do people think, what do people think of Krishna consciousness as? They think Krishna consciousness is inert, right? They're just sitting idle and just doing japa. But that's actually service, because bhakti comes from the root word bhaja, which means to do devotional service. So people make it complicated because they don't have the right information, as Prabhu was saying. And when we have the devotee association, it automatically becomes simple.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. And my another question is like, so which is more important right now, like the purity before approaching Krishna or approach Krishna to become purified?
I would say later, and the reason for that is we are far from being pure, Prabhuji. So if we wait for us to be purified, it is a never ending journey. So there is no prerequisite there to approach Krishna. We just have to take one step, and all this purity, knowledge, etc., will automatically come. And like Prabhuji was saying, a devotee association, that's the way to approach Krishna. I also wanted to add an example in context of your previous and current example also. If you look at it in a material sense, I mean, all of us are in karmis also, and we are also trying to practice bhakti. So we are mishrit in many senses. So we have a corporate life, we have a social circle, but we also do temple services, devotee services, etc. And we can feel the difference between the two. How this is so enlightening and keep us light and make us happy, versus the other one, we put in so much effort to dress up, to really plan for talking the way we should and be presenting and etc etc, and so much of judgment going on over there, so we come with the heaviness. So it is the heaviness versus the happiness, and hence the simplicity is in the happiness, and the moment we make it much more complicated, it results into heaviness. So that's my simple answer, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for clarification. Hare
Hari Bol.
Krishna.
Hare
Just
Krishna
wanted to
Prabhu.
add, sorry.
Hare Krishna, sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to just say, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, that I have never, till date, I've never heard of this analogy of heaviness, and it came up like so pure and so like it really pierced through my heart, and it makes so much sense. So this is a great realization. Thank you so much.
Hari Bol.
So the only thing I was going to add is Prabhu gave a wonderful answer. Is like approaching Krishna itself purifies us. Right? When we do japa, it's our one-on-one appointment with him. There's nobody else. It's a one-on-one appointment with him. And doing japa is purifying us. And we are not, I'm at least not pure devotee, far from it. Unless we do japa, unless we hear, we will not become pure. So it's a process of becoming pure. When we approach Krishna and his devotees, we'll automatically be purified.
Okay, I'm also looking at the clock. Thank you, Bhaktivinoda Prabhuji, and everyone for a nice Q&A. Prabhu, we can start your class whenever you're ready.
Okay, let me share. And see the screen? Okay. Okay. So, thank you to Hari Prabhu and Rupa Raghunath Prabhu for giving me this opportunity for speaking something on chapter 10. Prabhupada gives this the opulence of the absolute. Opulence meaning it's also called vibhuti. It's the manifestation which is special. So that's the chapter where Krishna is going to speak about his opulences, about his vibhutis, right? So if you go further, in chapter 9, the chapter 9 ended with the verse, the famous verse, Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So Krishna is saying that devotee has to fix their mind, become a devotee. You have to fix our mind and remember him. And in this chapter, he's going to advise us how to fix our mind on him. And he's going to give examples of how a materialist or even an impersonalist can see Krishna. But also the most important thing in this chapter is the Chatushlokish verses, the 4 verses, which give the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. That's the pure bhakti, right? So there's divided to 4 sections. First section is Krishna is saying that he's unknowable and the source of all, right? It's from verses 1 to 7. The verses, pure bhakti, the essence of Bhagavad Gita, is from 8 to 11. And to remember this, we can think, okay, we are chanting on 108 beads, right? So 10.8. So that's where it starts. 10, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it starts from 8 through 11 verses. And then hearing that, Arjun accepts that Krishna is the supreme person. He glorifies him. And then Arjuna asks, can you please tell okay, how do I see you in the material world? Then Krishna describes his material with just the prominent ones, right? So let's go into the first section. So now Krishna says that because you're my dear friend, I'm going to, for your benefit, I'll give you the more supreme knowledge, Paramam Vacha, which is greater than what I spoke earlier. So the most confidential knowledge was given in chapter 9. Pure bhakti, Shuddha bhakti. Now he's going to say that, please listen, Shunu, I'm going to give you more wonderful knowledge. And how can that be more wonderful? And we might have a question. He already gave you the most confidential knowledge. Now, what can be more wonderful? So it's like something like, okay, somebody tells you, okay, there is treasure in your backyard. Okay, that's very confidential, the most confidential knowledge. But then somebody again comes, okay, I told you this in the backyard. Here's the map and here's the exact spot where you can find that treasure. That's more wonderful knowledge. So this is what is Krishna giving in this chapter. He's expanding on that bhakti. He's giving the Shuddha bhakti in this 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita. And then he's explaining even the people who cannot focus on the personal feature of the Lord, how can they see in everyday life Krishna in everything? So that's why he says this is the more wonderful knowledge. And this knowledge is so wonderful that nobody can understand Krishna. He says that even the demigods, right, who become the devatas because of their piety, or even the great sages who become great sages because of their austerity, they do tapasya, they do meditation for millions of years, they cannot understand Krishna, right? Because he says he's the source of them, right? So we are the children of our mother and father. We cannot understand what happened in their life before we were born. Similarly, the demigods and the sages cannot understand who Krishna is unless Krishna reveals it to them. Because Krishna is the source of everything. He is the source of everyone. So he's saying that, okay, you cannot just understand through piety, through karma kanda, or through austerity, because the devatas became devatas because of their pious things. Sages became because of their austerities. Even they cannot understand because Krishna is the source. Now, if somebody understands that Krishna is the source and they understand he's the unborn, the word used is ajam, right? He's the unborn. He's anadin. He's beginningless, right? Loka Maheshwaram, Veti Loka Maheshwaram, he's the proprietor, he's the supreme proprietor of all the three worlds. We can say unborn can be Brahma. Beginningless, we can say even the Atma, the souls, the jivas, they don't have a beginning, they're eternal. But Loka Maheshwaram, like the master of the three worlds, all the worlds, that is only Krishna. So these adjectives are used for Krishna. Krishna is saying he's Ajam, he's Anadem, he's Loka Maheshwaram, right? He's the unborn, he's the beginningless and the supreme proprietor of all the worlds, right? And if we understand, the person who understands Krishna as this, he is freed from all sinful reactions of the world, right? So that's why it's very rare to understand Krishna. Krishna can only be understood the the way he reveals it to us. We cannot understand Krishna in its entirety. Even Ananta Shesh has been singing his opulences, is singing his glories for millions of years with millions of his hoods. He's never done reciting the glories. So how can we understand him, right? So then Krishna says that, okay, that person who understands him is free from all sins. And then he says, okay, all these qualities also come from him, like the qualities of intelligence, knowledge, freedom from illusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, sense control, mind control, happiness, even some of the non-positive qualities like infamy, uh, fear. And this is the question which was there in the Q&A, lust versus love, right? So Krishna is the storehouse of everything. Everything comes from Krishna. Prabhupada says there are only two things. One is Krishna and the other is Krishna's. There is not a third thing. Everything comes from Krishna. So Krishna is saying all those qualities are coming from him. So all these qualities of living beings are created by him alone. And then he further explains how he's the source of everything. He says, the Saptarishi, the seven great sages, the four Kumaras, right? The Sanat Kumaras, the Kumaras, and the Manus, right? Starting from Swambhu Manu, there are 14 Manus in the day of Brahma, who are the progenitors of mankind, come from him. And all the living beings descend from him. Now we can say all these are coming from Brahma. Where all these Manus is coming from, Brahma, the sages, the Kumaras. But Krishna is the father of Brahma, because as Garbhodakshay Vishnu gives birth, like from his navel comes Brahmaji. So ultimately, it's all coming from Krishna, right? And he can also be equated back because Brahmaji is so intimately associated with Krishna. Krishna is using that example that he is the father of even all the sages and the Kumaras. And why is Krishna saying all this, right? Suppose we have a friend, we have a very intimate friend, but we don't know that this guy is a president in Fortune 500 company. Once we know that he's a president of Fortune 500 company, that friendship will be more like, okay, wow, I have such a great friend. So Krishna is telling all this so we can see, understand, and we have a greater devotion towards him, right? So then that's where in the seventh verse he says, that when we are convinced of this opulence and mystic power, these vibhutis, these opulences of Krishna, we engage in unalloyed, right? There's no mixture, there's no mishra, there's no mixture. Unalloyed devotional service, avi kalpena yogena, and that is undoubtedly we will engage in pure Shuddha Bhakti. So that is the first section where he is saying that knowing Krishna is difficult, very difficult, because he's the source of all. And we are coming from him. We are part of him. So how would we know the source? Until he reveals it to us. We can only know Krishna through bhakti, right? So let's move on to the second section, which is the most important section, because this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, right? So this verse, aham sarvasya prabhavo matah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samannita. So Krishna is saying, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So again, different acharyas give different explanations of this, but this is a verse which is kind of leads us to be attracted to him. As I was giving the example of the president of a company, or say the prime minister of a nation, or a president of a nation, when we know that Krishna is the source of everything, he maintains everything, we automatically get attracted to him because he's the source of everything. There's no person greater than him. So it's the verse which is the verse of attraction. When we know he's the greatest, we automatically want to serve him, right? This verse has all three. When we think about sambandha, when we think about abhide and vilocha, right? Sambandha meaning relationship, abhide meaning how do we act in that relationship, and prayojaning, what is the outcome of that relationship, right? So, for example, I enroll in a college, so I'm a student of that college. That is my relationship, right? And then I go to classes and I do studies. That is abhide, that's the process. That's the process. And prayojan is what? I get the degree at the end of my college. That's the prayojan. So if we see this verse from that lens, it has all three in it, right? Tham sarvasya prabhu, that Krishna is the source of all spiritual, mata sarvam pravartate. He says in the active and the passive voice, both. Right? Everything emanates from me. So that's the sambandha gyan, that Krishna is the source of everything. Even we are coming from him. We are part of him. Right? That's the sambandha gyan, that our constitutional position is to serve him. We are subservient to him. And now that we know the sambandh, what do we do? What is the process? What is abhidaya here? Iti matva bhajante mam. When we engage in devotional service, right? That iti matva bhajante, that is the abhidaya, then we do bhakti. And what happens with bhakti? Buddha bhava, meaning Buddha means we become enlightened, right? So we become wise, right? So that is the prayojan. We enlighten, we know who we are. So this verse is explaining sambandha gyan, bhide, and prayojan. So it's the verse which attracts us to Krishna, right? So let's move on. Again, I'm explaining this verse a little detail because that's the essence of Bhagavad Gita, but we're not going to do it for each and every verse. Yeah. Now this verse is abhide, like the process, right? What do we do? We know the sambandha, the relationship. But now that I know, what do I need to do? So this example is about association, devotee association, right? You see the six Goswamis sitting there. Matchita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Right? So it is telling with their minds absorbed in Krishna, in me, right? So minds absorbed in Krishna meaning smaranam. What we are doing, we are remembering him. That's one of the limbs of bhakti, smaranam. Their lives are fully devoted to Krishna's service. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about him. Right? So they're conversing about him always, which is kirtanam. That's another, right? Talking about Krishna, discussing about Krishna, giving discourses about Krishna. That is another anga of bhakti. And devotees enlighten one another, right? They're hearing in one another, hearing to each other. That is shravanam, right? So you're hearing about Krishna. So three aspects we heard: minds absorbed in him, smaranam, and then they're hearing, shravanam, and they're talking, kathayantas, kirtanam. When the devotees, their mind is absorbed in him, their lives are fully devoted to him, they enlighten each other. In the prior verse, we say Buddha bhava, Buddha meaning enlightened. So the devotee is already enlightened. Why again they are getting enlightened? One question might come. because it's bhakti is the means and is the end. It doesn't mean that, okay, I become a Shuddha Bhakta and I'm completely enlightened. No. I have a special rasa with Krishna. Somebody I might have a special other rasa with Krishna. So when the devotees talk to each other, they talk about their experiences. They talk about Srimad Bhagavatam. They talk about how they love Krishna in that particular bhav. So that's how they enlighten each other, right? It's not like I become pure devotee and I'm completely enlightened. It's not like it's a journey and it's also the destination. So they are enlightening each other and they are by talking to each other and tushyanti means satisfaction. They're satisfied. They're hungry. So somebody gives us food, we eat the food and we are satisfied. Not only satisfied, ramanti cha. Ramanti is somebody cooked food for us, which we like the most. I like gulab jamun, and that Mataji knows. And I went to their house and it says, okay, he's coming. I'm just gonna cook what he likes. So you feel bliss. So when the Ramanti is that bliss. So it's not only satisfaction, this bhakti not only gives satisfaction, but it also gives bliss. Right? So you can understand this verse from a devotee association perspective that the devotees derive great satisfaction. So this is from an abhideya perspective. So we understood the sambandha and all the three other aspects in the first word. This is purely abhideya. How should we uh, engage in this devotional service? And it doesn't talk about guru here. It's talking about peers, right? And we will see the guru part is Krishna from the inside, how he's gonna. Now, this is the prayojan part, right? What is the result of it? So, this is a beautiful verse. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajtam priti purvakam vedami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. So, Krishna is saying to those who are constantly devoted to serving me, Tesham satata yuktanam, satata is constantly. To serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Preeti Purvakam. That's a very important word. They are doing devotional service with love. It's not just out of duty, but we not be at that level, but these pure devotees are doing devotional service with love. And what happens when they do this devotional service with love? Krishna is giving them the intelligence. The Dami means to give, is giving that intelligence that we can go back to Krishna. Right? So that is the prayojan, that is the result that if we do this pure bhakti, we can go back to Krishna. We have to be constantly engaged in serving Krishna with love. Most important part is with love. And Krishna will give the intelligence from within, from the Paramatma side, he will give that intelligence that how we can go back to him. And then the last part, again, we might think that, okay, I understand that Krishna is giving me the intelligence, but actually I do not have the strength. I'm not capable. So this verse is about that mercy of the Lord. Without the mercy of the Lord, nothing can happen, right? So this verse is about mercy. So the prior verse was about Krishna giving the intelligence from inside, right, as being Paramatma, and now he's actually empowering. He's giving the mercy because it says Tesham evanukampartham. Anukampa is mercy. Ajnana jam tamaha nashyami atma bhavosto jnana deepen bhasvata. So he's saying that he's giving them special mercy that he's dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. And what is that darkness? Because we forget our constitutional position. We forget that we are the servants of Krishna. We are in this material constitutional position. We want to enjoy. But when we engage in bhakti, from inside, he's going to give us that knowledge, which is going to uncover everything. We will see crystal clear what we should do. He's going to empower us. And that mercy only comes with bhakti, the devotee association. But devotees also give that mercy. So Krishna is saying he's giving that mercy from within, from dwelling in their hearts. Right? So this is another Prayojan verse. So just to quickly recap, right? This is the verse of attraction, where he's saying he's the source of everything. And when we know he is the most important person, we engage in pure devotional service. And how do we engage in that? This is the Abhidheya verse. How do we engage? It talks about devotee association. They're constantly, their thoughts are constantly about Krishna. They are talking to each other. The devotees are talking to each other, enlightening one another, and they're satisfied and are in bliss. Right? This is the Abhidheya part. And when we do that, what happens? We do devotional service with love. Krishna is giving us that intelligence so that we can go back to him. And then he's empowering us. And he's giving his special mercy by actually destroying the darkness, form of ignorance. He's the shining lamp of knowledge. So that concludes this pure essence of the essence of Bhagavad Gita, which is pure bhakti. Let's move on to the third section, right? Now, Arjuna is very impressed, right? And he is like, he's showing symptoms where he's like, he understands, of course, he's a pure devotee, but then he starts glorifying Krishna, that he says, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. So he's saying, you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate Param Dhama, the ultimate abode. He's the ultimate shelter. He's the purest and he's the absolute truth. He's the eternal personality. He's transcendental, the original Lord, unborn and the greatest. Right? Because when you hear this, Arjun hears this and he says, yes, you're right. You're the greatest person. You're the purest person. You're the absolute truth. And I agree. Arjun is saying that I agree that nobody can know you. And I agree. You told me that the demigods and sages cannot understand you, but he says in a different way, he says, I agree that the demons and the demigods cannot understand you. And he uses the word demons because demons also do a lot of austerities. If we see Hiranyakashipu was instructed by Brihaspati, uh, no, Shukracharya is the head of the Daityas, say you do these austerities according to the scriptures because the Daityas, the demons, study the scriptures to attain something, not for bhakti. So he was being trained by Shukracharya and he did that. So even the demons who get their powers are through the scriptures by reading the scriptures and doing austerities. So he's saying that even the demigods and the demons cannot understand you. I completely agree, right? And only you know yourself, right? That you can only know yourself because you're the origin of everybody. You're the Lord of all beings, and you're the God of all gods, and you're the Lord of the universe. Only you can know through your own internal potency. And even sometimes Krishna is bewildered, right? There's a pastime where Krishna was in Dwarka's palace and he's looking at the Vaidurya stone, a stone which is reflective, and he sees a handsome person because he's seeing his reflection and he's bewildered. Who is this beautiful person? So Krishna, he only can understand himself through his internal potency. But then Arjun says, now tell me more of your divine opulences. I want to understand you more. How can I constantly think of you and know you and remember you? Because I am in this material world. Of course, he's a pure devotee. He sees Krishna in his two-armed form and he accepts Krishna as his friend. But for all the people who cannot see Krishna in the spiritual form, he's asking this question. How do those people can see that Krishna in all these forms in this material world? And then he says, there's no satiation in hearing about you. I'm not satisfied, right? He uses the word Janardhan, which means Jana means uh, Jana means people, and Ardhan means maintainer. So maintainer of the people, describe in detail your mystic power, right? Your vibhutis, your opulences, and describe bhakti yoga. It's because the more I hear, I want to taste it more and more. I want to taste the nectar of your words. So he has not satiated, and that's why he's asking, Krishna, can you please tell me about your vibhutis, about your opulences? And the acharyas say that there are two things, right? Why? Because the people who cannot see Krishna on the spiritual platform as a person, right? Say they are materialists, they're just looking at things in terms of matter, or the impersonalists who don't believe in the or who like they are attracted to the energy of the Lord. They want to see Krishna, and this is where this section is going to define Krishna in all those different elements or different material things where you can see Krishna. So now, in the next section, which is the largest part of the section of this chapter, the last section, which is 19 to 42, Lord Krishna is describing his opulences. He says, okay, I will tell you my opulences, but there's so many, but I'm going to only tell you the most prominent ones. And he's not telling those opulences of his relationship with Radharani. He's not telling his opulences of his relationship with Madhu Mangal or Sudama, or he's not talking about those very intimate opulences of his relationships. He's not talking about that. He's talking about the material opulences, like how he's talking about how can you see that everything which is the best in a group is Krishna, or the essence of everything is Krishna. So it's going to, there are around, again, different Acharya says there are 72 opulences being described in these verses. Some Acharya says 84, because in one verse, from one opulence, they can give three words. So they might consider as three or multiple, or some Acharyas they consider as one opulence. So some may say 72 or 84. So he starts with that he's the super soul in the heart of all living entities, right? The Paramatma is him. And he's the beginning, the middle, and the end. Like he's the creator, he's the maintainer, and he's the destroyer of all beings. So then he starts again. I'm not going to talk about all the vibhutis, I'm just going to take a few, right? He says, of the Adityas, I'm Vishnu. Again, Adityas are the son of Aditi and Kashyap. We read the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So Adityas and Vishnu. So Vishnu here is refers to Vamandev. So he was the youngest of the Adityas. Vamandev, who is the dwarf incarnation of the Lord, he's the youngest son of Kashyap and Aditi. So he's saying there are 12 Adityas, and that Vamandev is Vishnu himself. And then of lights, I'm the radiant sun. The sun, because through the sun, if the light comes, so he's the radiant sun of the Maruts. Again, the demigods, like the wind gods, the different kinds of wind gods. There is Marichi, Marichi. So he's Marichi because he's the best among them. And among the stars and the moon. So we can say, how among the stars he's the moon? Because stars and moon, two different things. But the Sanskrit uses nakshatra. So among the nakshatras, he's the Som god, he's the moon god. Because even we read Srimad Bhagavatam, the moon god, there's 27 constellations. The moon god was married 27 nakshatras, right? The daughters of Daksha. So this is, and again, if we see the sun, we can think, okay, that is Krishna's energy, right? When I'm driving my daughter in the morning to the school, and the sun is right up there, and we have to turn like the car's thing to block away the sun. I tell my daughter saying, Mira, see, the sun is getting so bright, but you see that Krishna, this is Krishna. Right? We try to remember Krishna in the small things we encounter. Like in chapter 7, he says, he's the taste of water. So we have to think so that's how then we can think of Krishna in every small thing. So let's move on. And of the great sages, I'm Bhrigu. Bhrigu is the Manasputra from the mind. He was born from mind of Brahma. And he's considered that he is the originator from Brahmanas. All the Brahmanas came from him, right? Of the great sages. Again, Bhrigu is the best. So Krishna is Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om, right? Of all the vibrations, he is the Omkar mantra. Is the Pranava mantra. The ekakshar, like the one syllable. And for devotees, very heart-pleasing, and he says of sacrifices and the chanting of the holy names, japa. Right? That is why we have to do japa very nicely, right? And very important lesson for me also. Krishna is saying all the sacrifices, he is the chanting of the holy names, and especially in this Kali Yuga. And Prabhupada mentions this. In this Kali Yuga, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the best sacrifice. And of all immovable things, he's the Himalayas, right? And then in prior verses, he has mentioned of the mountains, he is Meru. Meru is in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described as in the middle of the Jambudweep. It's the tallest mountain. Tallest mountain, I think, I don't remember, 800 yojanas. I don't remember the exact thing, but it's the axis of the universe. So the universe rotates on that the Meru mountain. And if the immovable things, so Himalayas is not considered, he's like, this Himalayas is not necessarily just the Himalayas in India or in that Asian region. And Srimad Bhagavatam is mentioned, its Himalayas are also in the boom, other planets. So it's talking about that where Shiji lives, right? So immovable things and the Himalayas. And then he talks about all the descendants of Vrishni and Vasudev, right? So he comes from that lineage. There are many, many kings in that lineage of Vrishni. And in that lineage, he is actually Vasudev, meaning Krishna himself. And of the Pandavas, I'm Arjun. He doesn't use the word, he doesn't use Yudhishthir, but he says Arjun because he's a pure devotee. He's so attached to Krishna. Of the sages, I'm Vyas because Vyas wrote all the scriptures. And among the great thinkers, philosophers, he's Ushana. Right? So he's giving so many examples of how we can think about Krishna in our day-to-day life. Right? When we see there is an example where Prabhupada and his disciples were going in an airplane, right? And one of the disciples were, some of the disciples were brahmacharis, and then there was a air hostess, who was very beautiful. And the brahmachari looked at her, and Prabhupada caught that, and the brahmachari was a little ashamed, and Prabhupada said, okay, you think that she is beautiful, but think about the source of that. If she is beautiful, then the source of that is how much more beautiful, right? If we see somebody is excellent in sports or excellent at work, where is that that opulence coming from? Where is that power coming from? That is all coming from Krishna. So we shouldn't be envious. We're all Krishna's Amsha. We are all Krishna's children. We shouldn't be envious. Saying Krishna has given that unique ability, that opulence to that person, so we can see Krishna in them. Right? That's the lesson we are learning. Right? We shouldn't be envious. And again, Krishna has given unique ability to each and every one of us. That's how we coordinate, cooperate with each other and serve Krishna. Garden looks beautiful when there are different flowers arranged together beautifully. It's just one flower, similar kind of flowers. It's not as beautiful as it's different kinds of flowers arranged together. That's a nice garland we can give to Krishna. So these are all the opulences, right? In a kind of sense, right? Is among the Adityas is Vishnu's, among the Vedas is Samaveda, because Samaveda is basically, it can be sung, but other Vedas both has prose and poetry. Samaveda is, even though part of Rig Veda, it can be sung in hymns. Among the demigods is Indra, because he's the king of demigods. Among the senses, he is mind, because mind is among the senses, mind is the most difficult sense to control. Among the living beings, is consciousness, because without the consciousness, we're nothing, right? Among the Rudras, and we hear in Srimad Bhagavatam that from the head of Brahmaji, the Rudras were born, multiple, 11 or 12, I don't remember exactly. He's Shiva, he's Shankar. Yeah, among the Yakshas and the Rakshas, he's Kuvera, because Kuvera is the king of the Yakshas and the Rakshas. Among the Vasus, he's Agni. So this whole list is there, right? So again, there is a thing that among the serpents here means one-hooded serpents is Vasuki. The Vasuki who was used in the churning of the ocean, right? And it's millions of miles long. The demigods were on one side, and the demons were on one side. So among the serpents, he is Vasuki, and among the many-hooded snakes, like the snakes which are many hoods, so which are called Nagas, he is Anantashesh. So this list goes on and on. One thing is like among the destroyers is time, right? Many things destroy, but it's like the thing which destroys everything is time, right? We think, okay, I'm measuring time. I have to go at this particular time at this place. But as time ticks by, everything is getting destroyed, right? And Krishna says that I am that time, right? So then Krishna says that there is no end to his opulences, right? Right? Uh, is just a mere indication of his infinite opulences. Now he's going to speak like it's that all these vibhutis, all this beautiful and powerful creation, the past, present, future, spring from but a fragment of his splendor. It's just a fragment of his splendor, right? That he in this verse he's trying to say that all those different things are glorious objects are non-different from Krishna because everything is from Krishna's energies. Because as Paramatma, he pervades the entire universe, right? And why he's only talking about the good things? Because as Paramatma, even in the bad things, is there. Because we get attracted to the good things, and we get attracted to the best things. So he's talking about those things. And then he says that there's no, like, what's the use of this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of himself, he pervades and supports this entire verse. And Prabhupada uses this multiple times. Ekam Shena Sthito Jagat. With a single fragment of myself, he pervades and supports this entire universe, right? Because he is the Paramatma, right? He is the Paramatma of the entire universe as Karanadakshay Vishnu, right? From him, innumerable universes arise. And we take a particular universe, then that Paramatma or the super soul is in one universe. There is Karanadaksha universe, expands as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. In that universe, Garbhodaksha universe is there, that he is the super soul of that particular universe. And when from in that universe, in each and every atom, Garbhodaksha Vishnu expands as Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So that Kshirodaksha Vishnu is the Paramatma in each and every atom. So we can see these three super souls. Karanadaksha Vishnu, he is the source of the entire cosmic material manifestation. Right? From him, all the universes are coming. And then and one particular universe, Garbhodaksha Vishnu is the super soul. And in that universe, each and every atom, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, goes in like he's getting the expansion from, he's expanding from the Garbhodaksha Vishnu as Kshirodaksha Vishnu, and he's in the heart of everybody, in each and every atom. So when we understand that he's the source of everything, all the beautiful things, all the opulent things come from him. Ultimately, we will think, okay, he is the most worshipable and worthy of service. And then we can understand Krishna's sweetness. With that being said, I will stop here. See if there are any questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for a beautiful presentation. Like you were saying, for the devotees who did the group presentation, I felt the same way. You spoke from the heart and it came out very nicely. So thank you so much. Yeah, we do have some time in case devotees want to clarify anything.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you for the nice presentation. I would like to get that chart that you were, if you can send it in the group, the opulences.
Yes.
That slide, if you can share it.
Yes, Mother, share that.
Thank you. And one other comment followed by question. In the 9th and 10th chapters, in the 9th and 10th chapters, Krishna is more focusing on the bhakti part, which he tells in different verses as love and devotion. Many verses he is telling one who engages in devotional service unto me with love and devotion. And that love and devotion he's emphasizing. So devotion part we can understand, but the loving part is as a sadhaka bhakta, the love has not fully blossomed in my heart, so it's still in the budding stage. So so when I hear the 9th and 10th chapters, Krishna is touching some rasa, which I feel a kind of rasa he is touching in those chapters, where he is telling mad chitta madgata prana. In that verse also Krishna is telling devotees dwell in my heart, and that I feel that is he is touching a glimpse. There is a glimpse of rasas in those chapters, which is very essential for a sadhaka to engage in the devotional service with love. So what I feel is only if we get the glimpse of rasas, then only we will be able to love Krishna. And then also by describing his opulences in different ways, he is showcasing his supremacy. So what I feel is like the relationship is more into master and servant in those chapters. Like Krishna is very supreme, and he is telling that openly. And I feel like I am the servant and he is the master. That is the rasa which I can explore from those chapters. But when we hear the Bhagavatam and all, there are more deep rasas, mellows, where devotees engage in devotional service. And then with the Bhagavad Gita, we have to read Bhagavatam. Then only I think that love part we can extract from the Krishna's pastimes or Krishna's relationship with each and everyone. Can you please comment on that?
Yes, Mataji, it's a process, right? And again, because there are 9 stages of bhakti, that love, pure Shuddha love is prema. That's very exalted, right? We start with Ador Shraddha, when Sadhu
Yeah.
Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, where almost all our anarthas or unwanted things in our heart needs to be gotten rid of. Then comes Nishtha. We read that in the module 1. So
Yeah.
it comes, but yes, devotee association, again, 5 most important paths of bhakti: chanting, devotee association, relishing, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, deity worship, and living in Dham. Of course, all of us, we might have a job, we cannot leave places to just reside in Dham. If not, make our homes a Dham. But it comes with a time, right? So we need to have dharya, patience, nishchay, that determination, dharya, nishchay, and what's the other one?
The enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm, utsaha, dharya, and nishchay, right? Enthusiasm. So it will come, and you will see even Krishna is actually attracting you. Sometimes he will give you those glimpses, as you were seeing. Sometimes you might be sitting in a kirtan, and that kirtan is so much from the heart, you will feel your heart being churned. And so Krishna is showing you that love, that actually you are connected to him. And that's why, actually, otherwise, if you're not feeling that, why would we be doing with this Bhakti Sastri? Why would we be reading Bhagavad Gita? So we are seeing those glimpses here and there, but we cannot see it completely all the time. So it is going to take time. So let's have that Utsaha, Dharya, and Nishcha. With that, and even in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, right, chapter 14, Brahmaji says that if we are on this path of Krishna consciousness, I'm just paraphrasing, and if we, just like a son will get the property of his father if he is just being alive, if we are alive in this Krishna consciousness, we don't abandon this boat of Krishna consciousness, because we are his son and daughters, we will get to the spiritual kingdom. We just need to be that. Keep doing it and we'll feel that love. I don't know if I answered your question, Mataji.
Yeah, that's right, Prabhu. Thank you. And one more thing, which is practical application, which I just remembered, that we every day we offer bhoga to Krishna, and in Patram Pushpam Phalam Tam, Krishna is telling with love and devotion, but that love is sometimes we offer it within all those life struggles and going on every day in our life. So that love is still not available for Krishna. So I don't know whether he is accepting the bhoga and we are accepting the prasadam. Yeah, so
But it's a good
how
thing that you
can,
at least realize that, right, Mataji? So
yeah.
we just being conscious, right? Okay, I have to consciously offer this bhoga to him. He's a person. He's a person. I need to be present in the moment. It's hard. I'm just saying it, but I want to also implement that. He's a person. I want to say, oh Krishna, I did my mantra, but I actually am telling you from my heart, from you, please accept this. We consciously see him as a person, and definitely then he will accept.
Thank you. And one more thing, one last thing, Prabhu. In the context of offering the bhoga, which I do every day, is that just for a fraction of a second, maybe after chanting the mantra, I just request the disciplic succession and Prabhupada that in my offering the love is missing. So whatever is missing in my offering for Srila Prabhupada, please add it and please offer it to the Lord. So taking shelter of the disciplic succession and Prabhupada, because I lack love in my offering to the Lord, but the disciplic succession can pass it on to the Lord by adding the ingredient, which is the most essential love. So that's what I do, Prabhu.
That's very nice. That's a wonderful thing. Then you're passing it to others. That's the way to, because we are not qualified. So
Yeah,
wonderful. That's
I cannot offer it with love. So Prabhupada, you can do that, and please add that ingredient of love in this offering, and please offer it. That's my way of.
wonderful.
I
Wonderful.
just
Wonderful,
give it to
Mataji.
Prabhupada. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mataji. I think David Prabhu, you have a question?
Thank you, Prabhu, for such a wonderful class, Bhakti Vinod. I would say more of a statement or a realization. On slide 4, your last bullet point says, accepting Krishna's powers leads to surrender. And it's such an interesting statement because sometimes I find it so hard. I don't want to use tangible as a word, but grasping, right? But that statement you can really grasp, or I can. Like if I think of just the power of the sun, right? And you had mentioned it later on in your talk, but the sun is so powerful, right? Go out, I get burned, or I just can't handle it. It's just so incredibly powerful. And I can link that, or the power of a storm. Sometimes things don't seem so, many things are much more subtle, right? But there is, when you can see that power, you can really, I can really grasp the, wow, okay, I can get closer to Krishna, or realize, that realization. It's just a very nice, sweet statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Okay. There's a comment there. Wonderful. Amit Prabhu's comment. Okay, we are at time. I don't know, Raghunath Prabhu.
No, I think we are at a logical end, Prabhuji. Nice class, nice discussion. Just the kind of realization it invokes tells the impact of the class also. So just wanted to say that as a comment. But thank you so much. We can end the class with some prayers.
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्री
Jai,
प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai.
श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय next week Bhai Prabhu will be back so you don't have to tolerate me.
Sure thing.
Thank you everyone, thank you for this service.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so
Chantanam
much.
for
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.